Bill Ayers, over and over again, blaming Vietnam. Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters is a Fox News strategic analyst to respond to this. He's also author of the novel Hell or Richmond, which he just received the American Library Association's Boyd Award for Excellence for writing. Ralph, good to see you. And so that was what he said repeatedly. The reason he did what he did and the Weather Underground members did what they did was because we were killing 6,000 people a week in the Vietnam War. True?
No, it simply wasn't true. That's a figure the hard left just pulled out of thin air. In fact, Vietnam was a long and brutal war, and some Americans, a small number, were involved in atrocities. The North Vietnamese and Viet Cong, our enemies, committed vastly more atrocities. The difference is, when Americans committed atrocities, we wound up prosecuting them. They went to jail. That's not to excuse them, but this notion that we just went there and slaughtered innocent civilians right and left, that's the Oliver Stone version of history. But Megan, the bad news is you're going to get a lot more of that version of history because conservatives made a huge mistake in the last 50 years by abandoning the educational system, K through 12 and university through graduate school, to the hard left. And we've taken history teaching out of the schools. Civics has been perverted to be anti-American, and the product is a generation of young people who know the Bill Ayers side but not the facts. And by the way, it's about time people just stopped insulting Vietnam veterans. They were not monsters and butchers and baby killers. They were young men serving their country when the likes of Bill Ayers wouldn't.
He has a very different view. I mean, he thinks John McCain is a war criminal, which he said specifically, and then he thinks Bo Bergdahl is a hero, that we should be building monuments to deserters because he feels that they had the courage to stand up for what they believed in.
Megan, since 1775, Lexington and Concord, for 239 years, good men and brave men have given their lives so that Bill Ayers had a right to be a horse's ass. And he is. But what you see here really is his undeniable influence on President Obama. Not just in Obama's denial of American exceptionism, his belief that America is the problem, not the solution, but specifically in the Bergdahl case, where our president, this acolyte of Bill Ayers, treated Bergdahl and his family better than he treated any American hero, dead or alive, and their families. So this idea that, yes, deserters are somehow heroes, that America's really somehow at fault for Islamist terrorism, that Palestinians are freedom fighters, that the Israelis are oppressors, this is all pure Bill Ayers. And it's just like sitting in the Reverend Wright's church. You don't do it for year after year after year after year and not pick anything up. And oh, by the way, Bill Ayers and Bernadette Turner were not holding fundraisers for Obama because they thought he was a great American.
Well, I mean, that's the question. And I've read a lot of Bill Ayers' discussions about Barack Obama, and in every single one he distances, he wasn't prepared to discuss that in the full extent of that relationship. So people can draw whatever conclusions they want to draw, but I think at least now the record's been set straight on who it was, in whose living room Barack Obama was back in those days, and we have a better feeling for that man. Ralph, I got to go. Thanks so much for being here, sir.
Thank you, Megan.